All right. Here we go. It is Friday again, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading into week 5 of the NFL season and week 6 of the college football season. We're almost halfway through the college football regular season already. Wow, what a day yesterday. 3 game threes in Major League Baseball playoffs. Last night's game, which we will get to most assuredly here in just a second. Wow. So I wanted to open up with this. And after watching last night's game, again, we had a division rivalry game on Thursday Night Football. And they were talking about how the 49ers were playing. 49ers are easily the lesser team. And when you're the lesser team, you need things to happen to be in a position like the Niners were in last night. I do want to give Kyle Shanahan a lot of credit for the game plan he put together for Mac Jones. He understood his offensive line was not going to be able to hold up against what is arguably one of the top 3 defensive lines in the NFL. He knew that wasn't going to happen. It was very, very clear early that the Niners were not going to be able to run the ball. Excuse me. And the way that he made the game plan tailor to somebody who couldn't move. Mac Jones has a PCL strain on his knee. Started cramping up at the end of the first half. Gutted out the second half rather well. But what it really, really showed was mostly the quick strike ability, less than 2.5 seconds with the ball in the quarterback's hands. And it showed a glaring hole, which I have said on this show, and others have said around the league, that the Rams need secondary help. Primarily, not safety, corner. The drive that really, really put this in perspective was when they had the Niners backed up after a beautiful punt at the 2-yard line. Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, I don't love him. I really don't. I do believe that there are better options, and I hope McVay sees that with how the defense has played. Playing really, really soft in a game where you saw the Niners' game plan. You saw all they were going to do is get the ball out quick. Yet you kept having the corners drop back 10 yards before the snap of the ball. And they're not reactionary. They're not great at making quick moves. And what happens is, basically how everything played out, the quick throws to the flat, the quick slants, the quick dig routes just ended up being what hurt the Rams, and how the Niners made a game where they had no shot of winning and should not have been in, gave them a chance to win. Now, I know a lot of people are going to talk about the fumbles, but I don't believe in any capacity. I don't think McVay is going to yell at Kyren Williams for the fumble he had on the goal line. And here is why. When you're watching that play, right behind it, the hole was absolutely huge. The offensive line just absolutely spread the Red Sea wide open for Kyren Williams to run straight through. He was already getting tripped up, and he was going forward, and the goal line is right in front of you, and they're going for the score. This was not a showboat. This was not a wrong carry type scenario. He was going for the score, getting ready to put the ball out in front to get it across the plane, get it across that white line, and this hand just comes from the other side and knocks the ball out. It was a great defensive play, and sometimes You have to let great defensive plays be what they are. But then your defensive line was obliterating the 49ers offensive line. Young and Verse and Fisk and Turner were all over the offensive line. They couldn't block you. But because it was shotgun, 3-step drop, ball is out, period, you couldn't get there. And because your secondary was playing so soft, you gave up a bunch of easy throws in the middle of the field to Tungus, McCaffrey. It looked really bad. It looked really, really bad from a defensive play caller standpoint. Matthew Stafford was 30 of 47, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Los Angeles running game had 16 carries for 78 yards. They averaged 4.9 yards a carry. They didn't do anything bad. San Francisco, Mac Jones was 33 of 49, 342 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their running game, though, garbage. 33 carries, 74 yards. They averaged 2.2 yards a carry. When that's the case, you've got to force the passing game to beat you. And you didn't. You played soft. And I really think when McVay goes back and looks at everything, he's going to realize, damn, that was a badly called game for our defense. Our front 4 owned the line of scrimmage, and our back 7 were just put in the wrong spots to cover. And when you see stuff like that happening as a coach, you can't wait to correct it. You have to correct it early. So last night's takeaways are the 49ers offensive line is in trouble. I don't care who's quarterback or who's receiver. The Rams defensive line roasted them. And like the Jaguars, when a team is actually going to play them in a press coverage scenario and force them to get the ball out into coverage and not open space, the 49ers will be in trouble. That offensive line cannot hold up, and it was very clear last night. But I do want to say, Mac Jones, and huge kudos to him, Mac Jones could be causing issues for Brock Purdy. He could easily be causing issues for Brock Purdy. I saw a story this morning that said Mac Jones is buying Brock Purdy time. No, Mac Jones is showing the San Francisco 49ers maybe you didn't need Purdy to begin with. We've seen this happen. They talked about it last night in an interview. He was talking about Darnold, Mayfield, Geno Smith. Now, granted, I know Geno has now reverted back, seemingly, with the Raiders. But he said, Mac Jones watched them. Daniel Jones this year. He goes, it's not about trying to figure out how to get back to being number one. It's proving you still are number one. And Mac Jones does throw a very good ball. He definitely fits what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. And he's even injured, and honestly, I think has more respect from the players than Purdy does. They believe in Mac Jones more than Purdy. And I want to blame them if they did. But that was a gutsy win by the Niners last night, and congratulations to them. All right, in Major League Baseball, we had a wild 3 days of wild card games. Unfortunately, the Dodgers won their 2 games over the Reds. The Reds just couldn't keep up with the firepower that is the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup. But yesterday we had 3 game threes: Tigers and Guardians, Cubs and Padres, and Yankees and Red Sox. Working backwards, the Yankees blanked the Red Sox 4-0 to advance into the divisional series against the Blue Jays. The Cubs beat the Padres 3-1 to advance to face the Brewers in the NLDS. And then in the game opening the day, it was 6-3. Tigers, they didn't lose everything to the Guardians this year. They beat them in the playoffs 2-1. They won that game 6-3. They will now head out to Seattle to play the Mariners. So when you look at how everything is now, October 4th, tomorrow. So we got college football tomorrow and game 1 of each divisional series. Here we go. Tigers and Mariners is going to be the nightcap on FS1. 8:40, Tigers and Mariners. At 6:40, the Dodgers and Phillies will be on TBS and True TV. The middle game is going to be the Yankees and Blue Jays on Fox, and opening will be Cubs and Brewers on TBS/HBO Max. These series will take place over the next potentially 7 days. So the Dodgers and Phillies. This one could be really interesting. Easily could be really interesting. So when you look at tomorrow, so you look at the playoff series here. So we got potentially, we got the 5-game series that'll take place. The 4th, the 6th, the 8th, the 9th, and then the 11th. So 2-day break between games 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and then potentially between games 4 and 5 as well. Now I was going through because I wanted to see if everything was the same. It is. 4, 6, 8, 9, 11. That is how these, and they had to get everything off tilt for the American League. So the American League is going to be one day and the National League will be the other day. So for the National League, it's going to be 4, 5, 7, 8, and 10. So everybody's going to open on the 4th. Then you're going to have American League play on the 5th, National League on the 6th, American League 7th, and then everybody plays on the 8th. National League plays the 9th, their game 4s. Game 5 for American Leagues will be the 10th, and Game 5 for National Leagues will be the 11th. Here is what I want to have happen. Major League Baseball, I know, wants the Dodgers to be there, and I know the Yankees would also be a great one. My hope is Cubs and Mariners. I have said this for a little bit now. I want to see the Cubs and Mariners play in the World Series. But the Yankees and Blue Jays series by itself, and then the Phillies and the Dodgers series could be more exciting than any other series we have. Because I do believe those two teams match up so well. Match up in a way that it's just going to make everything very, very interesting. The regular season series between the Yankees and the Blue Jays Toronto won 8-5 over the year. So they did beat the Yankees through this year. And the Blue Jays are good. If the bats for the Yankees are not hitting, you can beat them because their bullpen isn't great. And we'll have to see how it kind of plays out. I don't think the Tigers have much of a chance against the Mariners. And the Cubs and Brewers is another divisional battle. So, I mean, that's about it. I want the Mariners and Cubs. I think the Dodgers do win tomorrow. Shohei Ohtani, I think, will be electric tomorrow. That's one of my favorite bets for tomorrow, actually. They're the underdog, and I don't understand how. But I do believe the Dodgers playing tomorrow, Shohei Ohtani starting, I think is a great thing for them. I think they'll take game one behind Ohtani. And I think the Blue Jays getting a rest because they weren't playing great at the end of last year. I believe the Blue Jays getting the rest is going to help them return to what they were through the season. And we'll see what happens. If the weather stays as warm as it's been, I mean, this could be really wild. New York is still 80 plus degrees, 70 degrees at night. It's not getting cold. So it's really been wild, and because of that, the ball acts differently when it's not cold outside. When the weather's different, the players act differently. You feel different. So we'll see what happens. But I am excited because that is going to be one of the key things that you watch, especially, is going to be the weather. When does it change? When does it turn? It's that simple. All right. So let's put in the plug like we always do for the WNBA. And we got the Phoenix Mercury against the Las Vegas Aces starting tonight, Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Vegas is the favorite to win, but I am going to go with the Mercury's defense. The way that they beat the Minnesota Lynx, the way they took out the New York Liberty, I do believe the Las Vegas Aces have a problem if they're pressured. Watching how the game between the Fever and the Aces played out the other night, I do believe they struggle with on-the-ball pressure, which means I'm going to give the nod to the Mercury, and I'm going to say the Mercury win this game. I think they win this series in 4 or 5. I know I'm giving myself an out there. Vegas is really good, and when Jackie Young starts hitting three-pointers, you're in trouble. I think Mercury take game one. They've had a bit of a rest. I think the Aces really had a tough game against the Fever. So I think the Mercury take game one, and it's hard for me to go swap with these every single time, but I do believe the Mercury are better. Defensively, I trust the Mercury a little bit more than the Aces. Now, Las Vegas is good, but I think Mercury's on the ball pressure gets them a lot more fast break opportunities, and the Vegas Aces are only 3.5-point favorites. So there you go. All right. Boom. Don't need that right now. There we go. Okay. So, I have good news. It's time to start looking at this weekend's football games. The best part of this, Air Force and Navy will go on despite the government shutdown. I'm not getting into a political argument right now, but Air Force versus Navy, game number 1 in the Commander-in-Chief Trophy Series, will still take place this weekend. Now, when you look at some of these games, we don't have a bunch of top 25 matchups. But I want to point this out a little bit because I was looking through here and I'm going, hold it. That game could be a top 25 matchup. Then I was looking at the next game going, okay, well, what about that game? So, for instance, Louisville is 4-0, unranked, playing Virginia, which is 4-1, ranked 24th in the country. That is a big game. It's a very big game. Number 2, Notre Dame is ranked 21st in the country at 2-2, mind you. Boise State is 3-1, going to Notre Dame Stadium. Once again, Washington's 3-1, going to Maryland, which is currently undefeated. And there's just picking the games. You guys know this. I try to pick mainly the top 25 matchups or teams that are legitimately close. Like Texas Tech and Houston. I could have picked this game. Texas Tech is 11th in the country. Houston's 4-0 and is unranked. So this week I had to just grab one of those close games. Mississippi State is 4-1. Texas A&M is 4-0. Texas A&M is 6th in the country, and Mississippi State isn't even ranked. So this is the game that I picked. I picked the Cincinnati and Iowa State game. Iowa State is 5-0, heading to Cincinnati, playing in Nippert Stadium there in Cincinnati against the Bearcats. And I am going to go with Cincinnati. Now, Iowa State does seem to be a team of destiny, not going to lie. The way they've pulled some of these games out of the hat has been extremely impressive. But this weekend, I'm going with Cincinnati to knock off number 14 Iowa State at home. Cincinnati is the favorite by 1.5. So basically, it's a push game. Cincinnati is getting the nod because they're the home team, and that is it. So I'm going to go Cincinnati over Iowa State. At home over Iowa State. Then we've got this big ACC matchup. Miami Hurricanes 4-0 at the Florida State Seminoles. Doak Campbell Stadium. 3-1 Florida State, 4-0 Miami Hurricanes. The question is, which team do I believe actually has everything set up? Florida State last week played really, really well. Guess what? Virginia is now ranked 24th in the country because they beat Florida State, but I think Virginia's actually, they're halfway decent. Miami looked much better against Notre Dame week 1. But are they going to be able to go on the road now and play against Florida State? Florida State beat Alabama, who just beat Georgia. And based off of last week's results, I have no flipping clue what's going to happen in college football. It's anybody's guess. So you're just basically making a pick and hoping it works. Well, I'm going Florida State. If not for nostalgia alone, I'm going from Florida State. Why? Well, I don't trust this Miami team. I have never trusted Carson Beck. I do not believe Miami is dynamic on the offensive side of the ball. And I believe Florida State at home, 7:30, ABC, big game. I like how loud that stadium will be. I like the feel of that game, giving Florida State the edge. Miami is favored by 4.5. I'm taking the underdog. I'm going Seminoles over Hurricanes this weekend, which is going to throw a monkey wrench into what people are thinking for the college football playoff for who the heck is going to come out of the ACC. And it is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And then, on top of that, there is a top 25 matchup in the SEC that everybody is letting just slide. And I don't know how they're doing this. Do you not remember last year? Now, everything I have watched and read has been commenting on how Kellen DeBoer getting Ryan Grubb back as his offensive coordinator is what's making the difference for Alabama. Fine. Whatever. You're coming off a ginormous road win in Georgia. Alabama got a huge win last week. Now they got to come home and play little old Vanderbilt. And in the past, I know this is that game where they're like, cool, good. This could maybe be a letdown game. They may play it close for a little bit, but Bama will pull out and win it in the end. That's what Vegas is betting. Alabama's an 11.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt. I got news for you guys. Vanderbilt is 5-0. Pavia, who is now in his 6th year of starting for Vanderbilt, has 13 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. He also can scramble and run rather well. He is the leading rusher for Vanderbilt. He is a legitimate dual-threat quarterback. Let me see. What type of quarterback has Alabama struggled with forever? Over the last 15 years. Oh, that's right. It's a dual threat quarterback that can beat you with his arm and with his legs. Pavia is outstanding. He is playing lights out. And Vanderbilt is just sneaking in under the radar. They're 11.5-point underdogs. I don't get how. This is number 10, Alabama, versus number 16, Vanderbilt. Alabama lost to Florida State, who played them straight up tough, had a running quarterback. Georgia doesn't have that. Guess what? They were able to beat Georgia. If you've got a running quarterback, Alabama's defense is not ready for this. They're not built to stop a mobile quarterback. Yes, you guys may be sitting there thinking there's no way Hawk is going to pick Vanderbilt to go into Alabama and upset the Roll Tide crowd. Yes, I am. Because they're coming off of a huge win over Georgia, and now you're going in there, you're home against Vanderbilt, and if you don't take Vanderbilt seriously, which I'm sorry, I don't think the players will. I don't think they'll be as focused. Vanderbilt could be leading 10-0 at the end of the first quarter and then just kind of be playing the slow game the rest of the time, but they've got the quarterback to do it. They can run read options. They can do triple options with the run-pass option, or they can do a run-pass option. Like, the availability for what Pavia can do with that Vanderbilt offense is too great. I am not going to bet against a team that plays straight at the weakness of the other team, in this case Alabama, and when that team is also coming off of an emotional high win. It happens all the time in college football. The underdogs won last week. I'm going underdogs again. I'm going underdogs. Vanderbilt, 11.5-point underdog. I'm picking Vandy. Florida State, 4.5-point underdog. Picking the Seminoles. Cincy is a 1.5 favorite, basically a push, home against Iowa State. Those are my three. Those are my three college football picks. The Indiana Hoosiers do not play this week, but I tell you what, week 7, week 7, Indiana at Oregon, both teams 5-0, and somehow it is not where game day is or Big Noon. Well, I guess that's not true. It could be where game day goes still. But I doubt it. I bet you they're going to Oklahoma versus Texas. But you're going to have next week some really, really big matchups taking place next week because we're in the middle now. We are in division football. So just to give you a teaser of what next week has, Georgia plays Auburn next week. Whether Auburn is ranked or not, Georgia is at Auburn. South Carolina plays LSU. Ohio State plays Illinois. Alabama plays Missouri. Both teams are ranked right there. Then you've got Indiana, Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas. It is big. North Carolina State against Notre Dame. Next weekend's games are huge. Navy next week. Yes, here my dad was in the Navy. I have always been a Navy fan. One of my fantasy football teams is actually called the Midshipmen. Navy next week is going to fully 100% be going for 6-0 on the year, heading into what is, I believe, the harder part of their schedule. And I love it. I love it. I think Navy last year was a hard year. This year they look so much better. Their defense is so much better. The Air Force game is big. But if they beat Air Force and they beat Temple next week, they will head into what I believe is the hardest part of their season, undefeated. North Texas is undefeated, and Memphis. So currently, Navy, Memphis, and North Texas are all undefeated. 4-0, 5-0, and 5-0. Okay? And they're all going to be fighting at the top of that conference. Now, the advantage for Navy is already 3-0 in the American Conference. So they are sitting number 1. Army is already 0-2. Army obviously doesn't look great. They lost to Tarleton State, for gosh sakes. So, but nonetheless, college football hitting its prime. There it is. It just hitting its prime. It's that simple. All right. Let's get to the NFL news. So, number 1, Chuba Hubbard, the running back for the Panthers, is not expected to play versus the Dolphins. That has just come across 20 minutes ago. He has a calf injury. It looks like Rico Dowdle or Trevor Etienne will get the carries / toss, throws, screenplays out of the backfield for the Panthers against the Dolphins. So that is really, really big. That is huge. Terry McLaurin is going to be out for the Commanders and Chargers game. Kyle Hamilton, also with Lamar, looks like maybe out for the game against the Texans as well. All right. So let's get into the pick 6 for the NFL weekend. Not going to lie, I hate this week. So we're going to go through. We're going to do our preview of each game like we do at the end. I'm going to do my picks first, and then we'll go back through and we'll preview each game individually. So the first game I'm going to start with is the Giants at the Saints. Now, I did say at the beginning of this week, this could be the Saints' only win this year. And then I started thinking about it even more, and I went, well, between the two quarterbacks, I believe Jackson Dart has a better shot at completing passes and running around people than Spencer Rattler does. So and Dart, now remember, Dart is upset. Dart has a chip on his shoulder that the Saints did not draft him because of evidently how he felt during the process. Listen, during the draft process, people get feelings that, yeah, they'll like him here, they'll like him here. I get that. But for him, he now doesn't have Malik Neighbors. Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Theo Johnson, and Cam Skattebo are his playmakers. And I believe Jackson Dart has a huge game for the Giants. I am going to take the Giants, the underdog. I'm going to take the Giants on the road in New Orleans. I believe both Skattebo and Kamara probably have pretty good days, but I cannot trust Spencer Rattler. The guy can't win. The guy just can't do it. So I'm going to take Dart over Rattler. Originally, early in the week, I was picking the Saints. I can't do it. I was going to pick the Saints. I can't do it now. I just can't do it. So I'm going to take the Giants over the Saints this week in New Orleans. But I do think it's going to be a better than advertised game. You're just going to know Rattler is still not an NFL quarterback. All right, the next game I'm going to pick, I'm going with an underdog again. Yes, this is my week. I went underdogs. I did. Full admittance. I've got the Jets at home against the Cowboys. And you may be wondering why. Well, here's why. The Jets will have to win a game eventually. They will have to win a game where their offense plays really, really well and their defense doesn't hold, grab, tackle, chest bump, elbow, shoulder, whatever it may be. They've got to have a game where that doesn't lose it for them. Eventually, that's got to happen. I don't trust the Cowboys outside. They are not the same team when they are away from AT&T Stadium. We know this. They're not the same team. The Jets are wearing all blacks on Sunday, the uniforms that look really sharp. Garrett Wilson, I believe, will have a big day. Breece Hall, I believe, will have a big day running the football. And the Jets will be ready to play the Cowboys. It still is only George Pickens, KaVontae Turpin. Yes, Dak's playing out of his mind as a quarterback right now. But there is a big limit to what the Cowboys can do. And on the road, I am taking the Jets at home. They're 2.5-point underdogs. I'm still taking the Jets. They have played the Steelers tough. They played the Buccaneers tough. They played the Dolphins tough. And I think they finally break through this week and get that W on the board, which is absolutely huge. I like the Jets over the Cowboys. All right, another game that is really kind of odd, but the Texans at the Ravens. The Texans opened the week 2.5-point underdogs when Lamar was going to start. They went to 1.5-point favorites, and it is now 2.5-point favored as the Texans. So as of right now, they're 2.5-point favorites, and I am absolutely taking. Remember my Hawks locks, the spread at 1.5. I was taking that spread all day. It's going to be at least a field goal, but I think with the injuries the Ravens have on defense, it's going to be a lot more than that. Woody Marks looks like he's getting into the role as being the lead back for the Texans. I said that needs to happen. It looks like they're going to do that and bring Chubb in as the change of pace, the grounder, pounder, and I like that. I really like that setup there. I'm going with Texans. Texans need to win. They need to keep pace with the Colts and Jaguars. I believe the Texans get the win. They're a 2.5-point favorite in Baltimore. Buccaneers and Seahawks. Seahawks are home. Their defense is really, really good. And I believe their offense is good enough, and it's going to be potentially a 3-point game. The spread is 3.5. If I'm betting the spread, I'm probably taking the Buccaneers on the spread because I could easily see this game being 27-24 or 23-20. I could easily see this game being that. 100%. But I do believe the Seahawks will win at 3.5-point favorites. I don't believe the Buccaneers will have enough juice at the end of it, Bucky Irving is still questionable whether or not he's going to play. And I think that is a big hit for the Bucks. Rachaad White is good. Bucky Irving is such a huge part of the offense, though. And Seattle's defense has been outstanding this year. And I just think the Bucks injuries with the offensive line injuries and everything else, I think this is just a loss due to manpower, not necessarily really just the better team. I think this is just at some point you run into a wall and injuries just kind of lose you a game or two. And I think that's what this is. All right, back to the underdogs. Back to the underdogs. I am taking the Commanders on the road with Jayden Daniels in Los Angeles to beat the Chargers. Yes, I am. I don't care if Terry McLaurin is out. I actually think right now McLaurin is kind of proving a lot of other people's points where you just, this is why you don't pay him big. He was getting older. And Debo, really good. The injuries on the running back position. I have Zach Ertz having a very big game against the Chargers right now. I have Zach Ertz having a huge game this week. So I'm going to go Commanders with Jayden Daniels out there in the Dome at SoFi. We're going with Commanders over the Chargers and continuing on with the season that they are going to have. All right. So that's 5. And I ran into this. I had 2 more underdog picks. But I do want to keep this pick 6, not pick 7. Because it doesn't work. It's not a pick 7, it's a pick 6. So I had to decide which game I wanted to pick more. And really that's what this is coming down to. The Broncos and Eagles or the Chiefs and Jaguars. The game matters more in the Chiefs and Jaguars game. And here's why I'll say this. Because last week, they got to play the Swiss cheese defense. Kansas City did. They got to play the Swiss cheese defense. If we're not going to give credit to the full credit to Caleb Williams for how he beat the Bears or beat the Cowboys against a Swiss cheese defense, we can't give the Chiefs all the credit either when you're playing a Ravens team that's letting everybody score. They're going to Jacksonville, and everybody is sleeping on Jacksonville, and everybody has been dogging Jacksonville, and I am really wondering why. I am. I'm wondering why. It makes no sense to me. Jacksonville is home. Monday Night Football. The Chiefs have struggled. They're going to look at that game. The Jaguars will look at that game against the Ravens and go, we don't do that. That's not how our defense is playing. We've got 13 takeaways as a defense. Number 1 in the NFL. We're not playing like that. We'll be okay. They're going to get after Mahomes. Mahomes still has an offensive line problem. It's still an offensive line problem. Mahomes is going to be under pressure. He's going to have to escape. Is Kelsey going to show up for this game, or is he not going to show up for this game? We don't know. Xavier Worthy. How do they play the defense behind? Thornton, Juju Smith-Schuster. What are they going to play? I don't know. But I really believe the Jaguars feel like a team that's in control. And Liam Cohen, I believe, will understand how to beat the Steve Spagnuolo defense with the tight ends and the running backs. And I think watch for a lot of quick screens from the Jags to Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter. If he's been holding things in the book, if he's been keeping some tricks in the bag, this is the week Liam Cohen needs to bring them out. Absolutely. Monday Night Football, this is where you show the league, hey, the Jaguars are for real. Stop sleeping on us. And I really think that's what you got to do. I believe he will. I do not believe that the media darling Chiefs are as good as what people are trying to make them out to be, because they had this big game against a really bad and really injured defense. We've seen that before. They don't look good. They still can't run. Jacksonville will stop the running game with 4 linemen. They'll get pressure with 4 linemen. Sorry. I am looking forward to Monday night. The difference is, in this Jaguars team from Jaguars teams in years past, that's what I want to see. Because they've been running the ball a lot better. They've been a lot more organized on offense. And I want to see what they do. I want to see what they do. All right. 8 minutes left. Let's run through and let's preview every single game. I'll make a couple of comments and we will close out this Friday, heading into the wild weekend that is. That stuff is locked in. The data that I said I was going to collect, first quarter is done. I've got it set up for week 5 as well. We're going to see what the record is for teams that have most pass attempts, teams that have the most rushing attempts. I'm keeping track of a lot of stats, and I want to get 2 more weeks. So we're going to get a 6-week time span, and we'll have 6 weeks, 12 weeks, and 18 weeks, obviously, at the end of the year. So that's how I'm going to do that, getting all the data. And it looks interesting right now. It really does. It looks really interesting right now. So I can't wait to share that with you here shortly down the road. But let's go. Here we go. 5-minute preview of the NFL weekend. Week 5 in the NFL opens up on Sunday morning. Out in London for the Vikings at the Browns. Dillon Gabriel starting his first game for the Browns. Most people are wondering what they're doing, throwing a rookie in against Brian Flores' defense. I would agree, except for the fact that Carson Wentz is quarterback for the Vikings right now, going against the Browns defense that shut down the Packers and that played the Lions close for a half before they just ran out of gas because they were on the field too often. I do believe this game could end up being really close. I think Minnesota needs to win this game, but I do believe that just like the Giants last week with Dart against the Chargers, watch out. Dillon Gabriel, different style of quarterback. He's not Joe Flacco. He can scramble, he can roll, he can run. Look for David Njoku and Harold Fannin to have big games. Quinshon Judkins, I believe, will be able to get some running lanes. Look out for this team. Look out for this team in London. The Raiders are at the Colts. Most everybody thinks the same thing. Ashton Jeanty will have a big week. Jonathan Taylor will have a big week. But the Colts just will have, basically, Geno Smith will throw 3 interceptions. That's what everybody is basically kind of counting on. The game could be 31-27. I would actually play the Raiders on the spread. The spread's 6.5. I would play the Raiders on the spread, but the Colts to win, because I don't trust Geno Smith. And nobody trusts Geno Smith right now. We already went over the Giants and Saints. Jackson Dart, chip on his shoulder, wants to play great against the Saints. I believe the Giants are ready for this. Malik Neighbors being out is a definite impact the rest of the year. But against the Saints, I don't think will be as big. But the Saints do need a win at some point this year. They hope. And it may be against the Panthers. It may be against the Giants. There's not many options for wins for the Saints on this schedule. So we'll see what happens. But the Saints are a 1.5 favorite at home against the Giants this week. The Cowboys visit the Jets, like we already talked about. We'll see if the offense for the Cowboys can actually play. We'll see if Pickens can stop dropping footballs for multiple weeks, or if that was just a 1-week thing on Sunday Night Football against the Packers. Broncos at Eagles is a sneaky game that you need to watch. Primarily, what does the defensive line for the Broncos do against the Philadelphia offensive line? 3.5 is the point spread. I would take the under. I think this is a field goal game all day long. Broncos are 2-2. They used that game against Cincinnati to kind of get some things right. I do believe they will absolutely be balanced against the Eagles. I am still worried about Philadelphia. It should be a really good game, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out. But the battle you need to watch is the Philly offensive line versus the Denver defensive line. That's the matchup to watch on Sunday. The Dolphins visit the Panthers. We just went over. Chuba Hubbard is out. Rico Dowdle will be starting for the Panthers. The Dolphins aren't good. The Panthers aren't good. Not many people are going to watch this. The over-under on points is 44.5. So, yeah. Not great. Not great. So, Dolphins at Panthers. Miami is currently favored by 1.5. Texans at the Ravens. Texans need to win this game. This is a huge game for them to win. They have to show they can take advantage of a team that is hurting, a team that is injured, a team that does not have their starting quarterback. They have to show they're in that level of NFL teams that can take advantage when another team is injured. They are favored by 2.5 heading into Sunday in Baltimore. The Titans play the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a 7.5 point favorite. I don't know how. I'm taking the Titans on the spread every time. I think the shutout to the Texans hopefully opened up the eyes of everybody watching how the Dolphins on Monday night, the Colts against the Rams, all these other teams that are trying to make sure they protect their quarterbacks and just get offense flowing. How about you run the dang ball? How about you use play action from under center, run rollout bootlegs, and let's play some regular football. Let's play a pro-style offense. How about that? If they don't, they can get smashed again by Arizona, and the entire staff just needs to be they need to be fired before midseason. If they don't start going under center, using play action with Chigakonkro, Ellick, they just need to be fired. They just need to be fired. But I hope they learned after getting shut out by the Texans. Buccaneers, like we said, are at the Seahawks, 3.5 point underdogs. Buccaneers are just banged up. This is a game where I just think they won't have the manpower to be able to attack the Seahawks the way they want to. Lions are at the Bengals. The Bengals are currently talking under the radar about Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, or Jameis Winston to be able to come in and potentially start for them. Why? Because they see the Steelers only one game in front of them, and they know the Ravens are in trouble, and the Brownies are still the Browns. So they feel like if they can get a quarterback in there, and I will be honest, if Jameis Winston becomes the quarterback for the Bengals, fantasy-wise, I'll be happy because Jamar Chase will get targeted 20 times a game. And it'll be really big. So, honestly, with that being said, Detroit's a 10.5 point favorite. Yeah, I'm taking it. I think they just run the ball. They're manhandling teams on the offensive line right now. And obviously, I definitely think that continues. The Commanders get Jaden Daniels back for a road game against the Chargers. I'm sorry, the Chargers' offensive line is in shambles. Even against the Commanders, it's going to be in shambles. And I don't believe Justin Herbert's going to be upright enough to be able to make a lot of plays. It could be a really, really close game. I could easily see that, but I think the Commanders will have the edge with the control. Jaden will have the ability to give it to Ertz, to give it to the backs. They'll play two running backs. And Deebo Samuel will have a bigger game. And I believe the Commanders will get out on top. A sneaky game. You're not watching this to see if they'll win. You're watching to see the growth. The New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have been home for a ton of games. It's a really easy early schedule. But here's the thing. They are also healthy because of this. They're home again. And they're wearing those new icy white uniforms. They have a lot of road games. after this. They go to Atlanta, then they go to Carolina after their bye week. But honestly, it's not bad. And I think the way that this year is playing out, the Bills have a lot of ability to be able to just kind of keep going step by step by step right now. And they look good, and I think they'll be just fine. Maxwell Hairston, their corner, rookie corner, is coming back. But I want to see how the Patriots match up right now, week 5, against the Bills. I want to see how they match up Sunday Night Football. I'm absolutely watching. It's supposed to be 71 degrees and gorgeous in Buffalo. And then Monday Night Football, you guys know. I'm picking the Jags. I am super excited about Monday Night Football. Chiefs and Jaguars. Jaguars are being thrown to the side by a ton of people. Don't sleep on a team that's the number 1 team in the league in takeaways. You never sleep on the team that has a defense that is turnover led. It's the dumbest thing in the world. If the Chiefs were the number 1 defense in takeaways, everybody would be clamoring right now, the Jaguars are going to get forced into a bunch of turnovers. They don't have a chance. They're saying they don't have a chance, and the Jags are the ones that are the best defense. 13 takeaways in 4 games. Go check your stats a little bit. They play hard. They play a very good brand of defense. They're tough. And they'll handle them. They will press the Chiefs' coverage. They will press those Chiefs receivers. Xavier Worthy may be able to run by them. I'd play bracket over the top. But, dang. I mean, come on. Come on. All right. It's not only a 23-hour break. We're off until Monday morning. Yes, I will finally address it. Yesterday I had a bunch of stuff going on, and at 9:30 is when everything kind of calmed down. And by the time I looked at it, I was like, never mind. Missed it. Yesterday just stuff has been one of my kids was actually sick, had some really major stomach pains to the point where couldn't bend over. So I was dealing with stuff like that yesterday. So apologize for missing yesterday. That was not the intention. But here we go. Friday, we got everything in. Picks are in. Everything's ready to go. So here we go. Let's have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Major League Baseball playoffs open tomorrow. WNBA finals open tonight. College football's got a couple of games tonight. Couple really big games tomorrow, but you got a lot of big games just for conference record, also taking place tomorrow. Do not sleep on some of these teams that are currently still undefeated. Don't sleep on them. And obviously, have a fantastic weekend. Make it the best weekend that you can. Have a happy Friday, an outstanding Saturday, and a super Sunday. And I will talk to you guys on Monday, and we'll recap it all on Monday morning. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, and share the podcast with a friend this weekend while you're out and about talking, having a barbecue, whatever it may be. Enjoy the weather, enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the gosh darn good football. Until Monday, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have fun, sports fans.